See you again.
Good to see you as well.
We saw each other just a couple
Of weeks ago, yes, we did.
The groundbreaking of the new Jackson Technology Park North.
Correct.
That, and I know from conversations that I've had with you and the Enterprise Group, that was many years in the making.
Right. It was at least, well, it was more than 2 years, but for the last 2 years, it's been a lot of work by Debbie Kelly and other folks, and Joe Bench Schneider and people from JC Dot, along with the Township, working to secure this grant.
Well, it's unbelievable property, and it's pristine because it was farmland.
Right, right. And Bruce Jenkins from the Jenkins family and the Jenkins Dairy from years ago here in Jackson, that is part of the original farm, and he has continued to farm that, and as part of the purchase agreement, he is able to continue to farm to keep the land in good condition for development, and that's the only reason that there's as much usable acreage as there is, because he's maintained the drainage system and kept it all tilled and everything. So we're very fortunate that he and his family have graciously agreed over the years to partner with the Township, because where Technique and Chemitol and that property was part of the Jenkins farm as well, and they were pleased with what we did over there, and so they entered into negotiations with us to purchase the current technology park. So.
Yeah, well, it's a great citizen, because they could have done something else.
They could have,
and
yes.
Maybe even made more money somehow.
Probably. Yep. But no, like I say, and as part of that, as respect to the Jenkins family and the property and the history, is that the new road that'll go into the park will be called Ayrshire Lane, as a tribute to the Ayrshire cows that used to graze there. They were imported from Scotland. They're a hardy cow, and the cream is of better value, and that's what the Jenkins Dairy used. So I talked to Bruce and told him that we wanted to do that, so that's what the name is going to be. So.
I think some old timers even remember seeing those names on milk trucks.
Yes. Well, and we plan to when we get the sign put up for the monument sign, to have a picture of an Ayrshire cow on the bottom on one side, and a picture of Jenkins, one of the milk trucks, delivery trucks on the other, just to give respect to the history of the property and everything.
Here we are at the groundbreaking on the hottest day of the year.
Yes, it was very warm that day, and it was a very nice event. It was very nice that the two gentlemen that we worked with from the EDA drove all the way here. The one gentleman drove all the way from Chicago, because it's the Chicago office that we worked with, and he was we asked him prior to if he needed any help finding accommodations, and he said, he planned on driving back. So
wow.
That was nice. And then the original gentleman that was at the podium that you saw there, he lives in Michigan, works out of the Chicago office, and we worked with him for over a year and a half, and it's kind of nice to meet face to face with people that you've talked to on the phone, and we did have a few Zoom meetings during COVID with them as well. So.
Well, we've got, I think, the most land that we've had assembled, ready, shovel ready, in decades in Jackson. Right.
Yeah, there's about 141 some acres that's usable. There's a small parcel that's part of that's on where Parnell dead ends into Rives Junction, or where Springport changes right there. That's kind of low. So I don't know if that'll ever be developed as part of the park, but yeah, there's 181 acres total in the whole property. So.
Yeah, location close to 94. The
Yes.
airport's close by. Rail. Water, sewer.
Yep, no water and sewer, that's part of it. That the grant that we're getting from the EDA. The matching funds are coming from Blackman Township by way of our water and sewer fund, and it's about 1.4 million. And the way I look at it is, you can't get that kind of return on $1.4 million, in the marketplace. So it's a great way to use our funds that our board, because our board, we've been talking about this for at least 2 years plus, that, when we finally got to that point, that water and sewer would be extended in there to provide for the further development of the area. So we're all glad that we're getting closer to the end of that and have it finally come to fruition. So
Yeah, and access, the road, 2-lane road with nothing on the side, no curbing, no shoulders, no sidewalks. That has to change in order for this part to
right,
work.
and that was part of the, because we were able to get a grant a couple years ago for a feasibility study, and we went from Shirley Drive all the way to Deering Road, because we thought it only made sense to go to the farthest boundaries of County Farm and Springport as well, because that's where the traffic comes from both ends. And that was part of the need that was identified, was that you had staff that worked at TAC and some of the other ones that are already there, plus you have the Wyndham Hills there, and you have people riding in bikes and walking. And as you said, it's just a narrow 2-lane road, and as part of this there'll be sidewalks on both sides, and there'll be a turn lane and a signal where Technology Drive and Ayrshire come together, so it'll make the whole area a lot safer for the people who live in the area. And the staff at TAC were very concerned, because at shift change you had people in the road and whatnot, and they've been very supportive throughout this whole thing to get the sidewalks in and make it safer for everybody. So.
Yeah, a surprising number of people riding their bikes or walking to work.
Yes, yeah, you saw it during the groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It's a busy road, really is.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so is there any takers yet on any of that land?
We have a couple of people that are interested, and Enterprise Group is submitting. As you know, you've been familiar with how these things work. We get inquiries from the MEDC, and we have no idea who it is. Mm-hmm. And then we just have to fill in the blanks as far as available water, sewer, power, all those type of things. And they just sent a thing asking on taxes and assessments and different things like that. So we submit that, and if it looks good to somebody that might want to locate here, then we have further conversation. But
obviously, I have some very optimistic and good feelings about that, as does the EG, because that's been the complaint.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have available land.
Right, and that's that's the important thing is the whole purpose, because it's the Blackman LDFA, which stands for Local Development Finance Authority, which I'm the chair of as well, and that's the that entity is allowed to capture taxes to do exactly what we're doing, to help provide employment, reduce unemployment, and basically what you do is the taxes that are captured get put back into land and making opportunities available, not only for new industry, but for existing industries that need to expand and don't have, as you said, there aren't that many shovel-ready spots. And until I got involved in all this 10 years ago or so, everybody thinks, well, hey, there's all these old buildings sitting around with acreage, and why don't you just do something? Well, the cost to rehab some of those is just outrageous, because they're old buildings. They have old infrastructure as far as mechanicals and heating and plumbing. So years ago there weren't as many rules and thought put into waste products and whatnot. So there is some possible contamination on some of those sites. So they make them less than desirable for a company to come in and want to
It's a brownfield, but not like the brownfield that a dairy farm is.
Right, right. And,
Different
and
kind
that's
of
the
brown.
thing. This whole property was had all the preliminary work done just to make sure, because it was a farm, and that was done quite a few years ago, and everything came back clear that there was nothing. And that's a testament to Bruce Jenkins and his family, is they farmed the proper way and kept the land up and didn't dump just anything and everything in the ground. So.
All right, so a lot of potential with Blackman Township. Some of the things that are happening with I94, all the changes to 94 and the improvements, that's got to be attractive to people looking to expand or grow their company.
It does, and I'm on the, I've put in hours and hours on road committee meetings with JCDOT and MDOT. And once again, unless you're at the table when all this stuff is being planned, because it gets plans 5-10 years in advance. Part of that's why we have sidewalks and street lights and whatnot through the roundabouts, and there's going to be sidewalks and street lights on Elm when that's done as well. Because I look at everything as a taxpayer, because that's what we all are. And my dad raised us that you have to spend money sometimes, but when you do, you should spend it right. Well, to me, part of spending it right is when you're building a bridge, which is a 50-year structure, you should probably put in sidewalks and a place for people to get to and from as part of that project, because after the fact, if you could do it, it'd be very expensive, and a lot of times it's just not possible. So that's one of the good things, is that throughout this process, we've tried to make sure that all of those elements are looked at. The non-motorized aspect is incorporated in all of this, just like on West Ave. They've already got the tunnel underneath the ramp, and it'll go through that intersection, so you won't see people running out in front of cars getting to and from the hotels and different things, trying to get over to the crossing there. So it's like I say, that's just part of the planning thing, is that if you sitting at the table, you need to be there and discuss these things. So as we're spending our tax dollars and millions of dollars to redo a bridge, we make sure that what the community needs is put into that project without additional cost. I mean, we're paying for it because it's our state taxes, but it's a whole lot easier to add a little bit to a very expensive project and make it something that fits everything. So
Yeah, that pedestrian tunnel under the highway connecting the hotels and Jackson Crossing, that's going to be awesome.
right, and part of that is there's going to be cameras in it as well, because that's one of the things that I discussed with MDOT. In the Blackman Public Safety will have access to those to make sure that it's safe for people to go in back and forth through there. So,
All right, we've got some new playground equipment at Rod Mills Park finally getting.
we do. As you and I talked about before, it probably took a year and a half for it to get to us. It had been ordered, and we were fortunate to get a grant through the DNR Recreation Fund to pay for part of that. And we actually put in some new sidewalks and whatnot. We've done a lot of work down there the last few years, and the sidewalk really didn't go anywhere. Well, we had to wait to complete it because the equipment wasn't here, and the last thing we wanted to do was drive equipment over the top of a brand new sidewalk to put in the playground equipment. So I would invite everybody to stop by Rod Mills Park and check out the new play area. There's a zip line for kids and some new swings, and it's just very nice. It's a nice park to go to. We do have a dog park there, so there's a fenced-in area for people to walk their dogs. So stop by and check out everything that's new in the park.
All right, we've got a couple of old restaurants that people have been wondering about. One is I can never remember the name of it, next to Olive Garden.
Lone Star.
Yeah, the old Lone Star.
Lone
Yes.
Star, yes, the Lone
Yeah,
Star.
and a company that owns Fireworks is the one that is the current owner of that, and it's our belief that that's what they want to do is put a fireworks store in there, because they already have 2 or 3 other ones, and as you know, there's been graffiti on that building, and we had some difficulty contacting the current owners, because when it changed hands, it's not always easy to get the information. And we just recently, public safety, our ordinance officer, was able to contact them, and they said absolutely they will get that graffiti painted over and get things cleaned up. But they asked if they could, they said that right after 4th of July they would do that, because they're a little busy, till after the 4th. So.
All right, a fireworks store potential for that building. And then the old Gilberts Steakhouse.
Gilberts, we did sit down with at the March board review. The gentleman that owns and manages that property came in and talked with the board review to let them know the condition of that property, and ask for a reduction in assessed value due to that. And unfortunately, it has had a lot of water damage. He's put a lot of money into that property over the years, and so the inside is less than pristine right now. I mean, it's cleaned out and they've sealed things up, but it's such an old building that all of the heating and cooling is on the roof, and so all the joints for everything is on the roof. And he said they spent a whole bunch of money when they had water get in the first time, and they didn't realize that all those joints needed to be fixed on that, and so water got in again and really wreaked havoc in there. But he's hoping to find somebody to to purchase that property, but he hasn't had any luck so far. And quite a few years ago, I was approached by a family that owns some Italian restaurants in Ohio, and they were considering coming to the Jackson area, and that was one of the properties that we discussed with them. And I don't know if their fortunes changed or whatever, but we never heard any more. But
Pete, we need an Italian restaurant.
But yeah, that's the thing. We talk with people whenever they're interested, and one of the things that we have good people in this area, all the township supervisors and folks in different parts of the government, whether it's city or county, that work well together. And if we don't have property that suits them, if we know something that's available, we try to make sure that that's made apparent to them, that there might be something in a neighboring community that's in the area that might fit your needs better, because we all live here. So
yeah, I've been really impressed with with the groundbreaking, all the intergovernmental cooperation that had to occur in order for that to happen.
Right.
It does seem like everyone here in Jackson County is working well together.
Well, and that's one of the things, people go, oh, you guys are lucky out in Blackman, there's a lot going on out there. I said, well, I don't know about luck. I said I work at it every day. I said we work hard at it, but I said, there's no magic to it. It's exactly what you and I are doing right now today, talking to each other. Because unless you talk to each other, you don't know what you know, and I don't know, vice versa. And that's how things get done, just sitting down and having a conversation, so that when opportunities come up, you don't have to hurry up and scurry around and try and figure out who you need to talk to, because you've already been talking to them.
That's right. So is there anything new, anything coming on the horizon?
No, not that I'm aware of. I've got a lot of inquiries about what's going in on 50 and Rives Junction out there, across from where Clavon's used to be and where the Mexican restaurant is now. And what that is Emerald Outdoors is going in there. It's a local lawn maintenance and landscape facility, and they're building a new facility there and going to move from their current location. So that's what all that dirt is. It's being moved there. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, we appreciate the time. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Bart.
Blackman Township Supervisor Pete Jancek. We've got